What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. This is the R1250RT 2020 in Manhattan Metallic. This is a bike that I don't really have much experience with, to be honest. I've sold a bunch of them. I know a lot about them for the most part, but I have never actually experienced one. I've never ridden one, and let's ride one. Let's see how it feels. You know, it's a touring bike, but it's what they call a sport tour. It's pretty agile from what people say. It's large, it's got a lot of wind coverage. I know that might be a good thing or a bad thing to a lot of people. It might not necessarily be your cup of tea, but either way, it's a bike in BMW's lineup that I want to ride. I want to bring you some information on. I want to give you some feedback. So this will be another MC Commute initial ride review, and let's see how it goes. Man, this thing's big. All right. Nice color though. I like that on certain bikes you can get the same color that you could actually get in a car. I know this is a car color. You can get a BMW X7 I saw in this color. This is a fully loaded premium package bike, like I said, for 2020. So they added the fog lights as standard in the premium package. It's going to have the Gearshift Assist Pro, so clutches upshift, clutches downshift, dynamic ESA on this bike, so adjustable suspension for load and dampening, electronic windshield. It's going to have a radio, which I'm probably not going to use, heated grips like almost all BMWs have at this point, but it does also have a heated rider seat and passenger seat, which is cool. And one thing that I always like on the touring bikes, it is keyless ride, so you get a fob, and when you arm the alarm, you get the same noise that you would as if you were alarming your 3 Series or your BMW. So I think that's cool because it just shows how BMW is a brand, not just motorcycles, but, you know, overall. So I'm pretty familiar with the 1250 motor. It's the same motor I have on my bike. So that's not really going to be anything too surprising, although I do want to see how it is in touring form. Do I want to listen to the radio? Speaker off. Satellite, no. Auxiliary, no. It's weird riding a bike with a speaker system. I've never done that, and I'm not gonna do it for too long. Oh, I don't even have my Bluetooth. Oh, okay. But that's a big windshield. Let's lower the windshield. I don't need that around town just yet. Definitely, last bike I rode, which I rode in this morning, in the last video that I had. So I'll try and make this one shorter because I know that video was fairly long. All right, Sean Paul. Thank you. The F900R, you know, I it over and over in that video how stiff the suspension was. So it's weird. I just felt that bump, you know, leaving the dealership, and it's like just, you know, bike floats. Now it does have the dynamic ESA, so I do have the ability to put it into dynamic mode and firm it all up. But let's ride it out of here on road. You know, soak up some bumps, especially after the ride on that F900R that I had, which was very stiff compared to this. I'll probably raise the windshield once we get on the highway for some more wind coverage. That'll be nice because this has all the wind coverage in the world compared to the F900R that I previously rode. So almost polar opposites. That's a nice little street urban riding bike. This is a full tour, sport tour. I won't call it a sport bike, but sport tour. Come on, Scion. Take your time. What's this thing? Close to 600 pounds? Doesn't feel like it. I don't think we can ditch the radio altogether. Definitely won't be doing much lane splitting on this, but you know what? It's later in the day. Hopefully there's no traffic that I gotta worry about. Hopefully soaks up the bumps. Bags are all closed. Always double check that. Turn the loudspeaker off. No waves, no music in my headphones. Just gonna figure it out. Ride the bike, see how it feels. Oh, look at those adorable cops on their scooters. You guys want to run it? Huh? What did I want to do? Oh yeah, the brake lever's a little too far. Oh, that only makes it further. Okay, so if I bring it down to, I know I got a green light. It's very cute. Nice scooters, gentlemen. Brake lever's a little far for me, but I can reach it. I would like it closer. Clutch is fine. Although, you know, on these newer BMWs, I very rarely use the clutch anyway. Wow. Wow. That is embarrassing. I don't even know, like, how you sign up for that. Like, imagine being a scooter cop. Like get out of here, man. You're not going to pull me over. You're a scooter cop. Thank you very much. All right, that guy's cool. Clearly appreciates Star Wars. Likes my Boba Fett helmet. But still on a scooter. Whatever. Much more engine braking than the F900R, but this also isn't equipped with the, what do they call it, MSR, the dynamic engine braking. So you pretty much get full engine braking when you roll off the throttle in this thing. It's not going to mess with the engine valves to kind of tailor the engine braking. You're just going to kind of get whatever you get when you roll off the throttle, which isn't a bad thing. It's at least predictable, especially if you have a little bit of experience on the big boxer motors, but not so bad. Not a bike you would probably see too often being ridden in the city either. It is fairly big. It's pretty wide. Go ahead. Go ahead. Take your time, I guess. Gearshift Assist Pro, like on most of the 1250s, is a little aggressive in the first gear, first to second gear upshift, first to second gear change. That's not abnormal. I think it's just because first gear on these bikes is fairly short, so that upshift can be kind of aggressive. Oh, it wasn't so bad. Wow, this is a cushy ride. Seat's cushy. There's plenty of padding, if you know what I mean. I think the strangest thing, because I did, the only time I rode this thing was local. I had to take it around the block for something. And the strangest thing about this bike, although now that I'm riding it in all my gear and like properly know I'm gonna ride it, the mirrors are very low. You can see, you know, it's not very normal to be on a bike where, or at least in my experience, to be on a bike where the mirrors are pretty much where your hands would be, you know, that low, almost parallel to the handlebar. That's not very common on any bike I've ridden. Our own sport bikes definitely don't do that. My GS definitely doesn't do that. Most bikes with proper handlebars, like a F900R, the last bike I rode, or the S1000 XR, nothing's gonna do it like that. But, you know, I can see there's definitely plenty of vision, and they are nice. They're pretty big. I can see what's behind me, so that's kind of cool. Bike is equipped with auto hold. Not automatic on this bike, just standard auto hold. So when you grab that brake lever at a stop, you know, give it a nice stab, it will lock the rear brake for you. Oh, let's put it in first. It'll lock the rear brake for you so that the bike doesn't roll. You can even activate that with the rear brake. You can either deactivate it before you ride off, or you can just pull away. The wheel speed will be sensed by the computers, and it'll turn hill start control off for you. But even on a small incline like this, it's a nice little feature to have, because you figure the bike's 600 odd pounds. Imagine if I had loaded it up with luggage, it'd be a little heavy, and I can just grab it like I did, and the bike's not gonna roll anywhere. It's not really gonna move on me. At least it's gonna have a little bit of hesitation to do so, because there is that rear brake pressure applied. So that's not a bad thing. Heated seats on this bike, heated rider seat, heated passenger seat, heated grips, 5 levels of grip heat, 5 levels of seat heat. Like I said, loudspeaker, Bluetooth, satellite radio, AM FM radio. It's pretty much a 3 Series on 2 wheels. People still don't pay attention. even on a bike this big. And you know, it makes me a little wary. If you've watched my other videos, you'll definitely see me being a little bit more agile in the city, especially on a bike that's narrow. You'll know how much space you have, but it's like, man, I got these bags. I'm not lane splitting. I can't get too aggressive with stuff like that. I could take the bags off. The bags are removable, but I wanted to ride it as if, you know, you were riding at home, how you would ride at home, or pretty much as equipped. So I didn't want to start taking things off just to benefit my ride. Plus, I also really don't like riding with a backpack, and my backpack is in this case right now, which is nice because I hate riding with a backpack, especially a heavy one. So to have luggage, somewhere to throw the stuff that you're bringing along with you, that's a bonus. You can even put a top case on this box too, a pretty big top case. And even the side cases, they're linked into the alarm system and the central locking system, as we call it. That's what this button right here does. If you press it, it'll lock and unlock the cases simultaneously, so you don't have to go in there fiddling with keys. I had a guy trade in a bike not too long ago. Again, I'm in the wrong lane. Better yet, we're gonna go upper level. I had a guy trade in a bike the other day, and you know, he hands me all these keys for the cases and spare keys, and you know, the key didn't match the key for the bike. And yeah, that might be something that I will, you know, that's nitpicking, but to have one key, especially on a motorcycle where I hate having things in my pockets anyway, to have one key that controls everything is nice. It's gonna lock and unlock these. You know, those are little storage compartments. Even in this one, you can charge your phone. It's got a little USB adapter, an auxiliary cord adapter, and those will lock with the bike as well. Simply press that button, and now those can't be opened. Press it again, it unlocks. Same thing with the cases in the back. So to not have to, you know, fiddle with your key or have another key, or God forbid you forget that key. Oh, puppy. Sorry. Oh, puppy. Oh, sorry, I got sidetracked. It's just nice, you know. It's what you pay for with BMW anyway. It's that luxury brand, it's that premium brand that you should be getting things like that. Bike doesn't feel too big. I'm sure it is large and in charge, but not unmanageable so far. We'll see how it does on the highway. I know that's where it's going to shine, especially compared to the bike that I rode in this morning, the F900R. Yeah, I'm going to get on the highway. You're going to have all sorts of wind coverage. I got this big old electronic windshield. You know, you can raise it whenever you want, or you can even look at how much that covers you. You know, it's pretty much eye level. That's going to take care of any wind that I have to deal with on the highway. You've got these extra little winglets right here. BMW bikes spend a lot of time in the wind tunnel to make sure that they, you know, have the best wind coverage for the design, and that's something you can't fault, and that's also something you pay for. So thank you. I hate when people do this. Who's going first? Who's going first? Yeah, I'm going first. Also, I'll blast some Sean Paul on them what. Super upright seating position. Let's see what it's like on the highway. Alright, so I was able to get this big thing out of the city. Not too bad. You definitely are uncomfortable white lining it and filtering. It's doable, but you know, I'm not used to a bike with side bags, so it's one of those things where do I fit, do I don't? I don't really want to find out the hard way. So you might have to sit in traffic on a bike like this, depending on where you're riding and how you're riding it, and you know what the environment is. I should take advantage of this windshield. Oh yeah, that's nice. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but the minute this big wall goes up in front of you, it's silent. It's silent back here. And you know, I've never ridden a bike with a radio, and I didn't really plan on ever riding a bike with a radio. I definitely don't plan on owning a bike with a radio, but you know what, this one isn't bad. And I guess with traffic, you see, can't do anything about this. I guess with some decent wind coverage, you can actually hear it. I'll mess with the radio in a little bit. Let's see what's going on up here. I like that the windshield's electronic. You can drop it down, you know, so that it's kind of definitely out of your way. Obviously, it's clear, but you do have to look through it. But touch of a button, it's out of the way. And it always lowers itself back down when you turn the bike off anyway, just so that it's not getting caught or snagged on anything. All that for a Jeep? All right, whatever. The power's nice in the bike, but that's to be expected. The 1200s always had a lot of nice power. The 1250s even better. Oh, look at that thing. That's neat. Yeah, plenty of power. Actually, more power than I thought. It does move fairly quickly. The only other touring bike from BMW that I've ridden was the K1600B, the standard bagger, and that's got 160 horsepower out of a 1600cc 6-cylinder. That's a little bit heavier than this bike, but that bike moves, and that's probably the smoothest bike I've ever ridden, especially transmission wise. So I knew that this bike wasn't going to be as smooth, but I also knew that it was going to be a lot more agile and sporty than the K1600B is. But yeah, this thing's definitely got some power. And you know what? I like the fact that it's got the needle style gauges versus the TFT. Yes, I love the TFT, but I think everybody at one point has had a bike with actual needle gauges for the tach and the speedometer. And it's just nice to watch those things react. You know, it's nice to watch an actual tachometer move when you accelerate. And you know, that's something that I'll always appreciate, because it always kind of makes you think about your first bike. You know, my CBR 600RR, that first bike of mine, you know, had that big old tach right in the middle, and the numbers were digital, and I was always going way too fast to read the numbers anyway. But yeah, this isn't bad. I had it in road mode for the suspension for the most part, getting out of the city and getting onto the highway. I don't mind it, but it was a little bit too soft for me, so you got a lot of, you know, bound and rebound over the bumps. You got a lot of both directions, you know, it kind of seemed to move a little bit too much, which won't be a bad thing if you're on a bad road, or if you're on a tour where you've got, you know, not the nicest roads, or even if you're riding two up and you just want, you know, a much more compliant suspension. But I stuck it into road mode. I'm sorry, I stuck it into dynamic mode for the rest of this part of the highway, just because I want it to be a little bit firm. I don't want to hit the smallest of the bump and feel the bike doing this. But remember, it is a touring bike, so that's not a bad thing. And this is what I mean about filtering. You know, you've got these huge bags. It can be done. You can lane split with this. You just got to be on your toes, and it's not that fun. And it makes me kind of think twice about this bike, at least for me, although I was never thinking about this bike. I'm really just riding it for you guys. But I don't want to be on a bike where I don't have the ability to do something about traffic, because then it kind of takes the fun out of riding a bike. And also, I don't want to sit in traffic. Nobody likes picking their feet up, putting them down, picking their feet up, putting them down when they have to, you know, do the stop and go stuff in traffic. So not the most fun, but it is what it is. Traffic is a universal problem. Might be worse some places than other, but so far the highway part's doing pretty good. Let's see how the rest of the ride goes. Oh, there's police. Another accident. Oh, and these mirrors, instantly used to them. They're really good. You know, they don't really give you much of a view, although I could probably adjust them to make it a little bit better, but they don't give you much of a view of the bike itself, so it's a little tough looking behind you. On stock mounted mirrors up here, you can kind of angle or move your head and see what's behind you, so you have the ability to see what's behind you before you make a maneuver. On a bike like this, you really kind of have to either do a head check or know that you've overtaken whatever you're about to turn into its lane, because you don't really get much view behind you. So I don't know if there's somebody that's about to overtake me before I make a move, but then again, that might just be something that I'm gonna learn and adapt to on the bike. I turned on the auxiliary fog lights, which are standard on the 2020 and the premium package, like I said, just because you always want a little bit extra light. Just one more way someone's gonna see you. What is going on up here that has traffic literally stopped? Oh man. Let's try out this radio, I guess.
Stronger signal, faster speeds, more coverage than before. Per line per month and for free LG K51.
Commercial. I never used auto hold on the highway before, but I have today. You'll see what I mean when we get back rolling. It's just nice to watch the tack. This thing revs all the way up to 9 grand. That's a lot. And even though this isn't the TFT, I'm sure the next generation RT will have it. You still get a lot of information. Cases are locked. Dynamic suspension, auto leveling mode, 97 miles to empty. So it's giving you all the information. I'm in dynamic for the engine mode. I got my coolant temp and gas gauge on the left side. Odometer at the bottom. Radio right in the middle. And even just press the one button, you can go into your suspension settings, your information, your trip meter, your handlebar heat, your seat heat settings, and then, you know, it's not bad. You still get a lot of information. BMW definitely wants you to have all the information that you can have in a bike like this, or in any of their bikes, to be honest. That's why a lot of things are becoming standard with the TFT. But this is a good layout. I like it. It's pretty. My OCD is kind of messing with me with the different size circles, but I guess that makes sense. What was all that for? Why are police wearing more masks? Whatever. Close this radio. I didn't think it would be useful at highway speed, but the radio is not bad. Engine's nice. I knew the 1250 would be, though. Almost everything I've ridden with it. Almost everything I've ridden with the 1250 has been nice. My bike, the R1250R, the R1250RS. And you can definitely get a little bit of a sporty feel out of this bike because you don't have handlebars that are that stiff to move. And what I mean by at slow speeds, you can do a lot of maneuvering and you can actually point the bike, and then it makes it just a little bit easier to actually lean it over when you need be, while you're actually, you know, riding up at speed and you're counter steering the bike. Yeah, you know, even dynamic mode, that pump wasn't too hard. But let's see how the rest of the ride goes. Good morning, everybody. Back on the R1250RT. Was messing with the adjustments and playing with the settings yesterday a little bit. I found out that hill start control is automatic, or does have an automatic mode on the 2020 RT, so that's cool. Which means the bike will apply the rear brake for you, like I was talking about on my way back, or on my way home. Also, I was messing around with the audio. You know, I thought it was a little bit too tinny, but it does have a bass and treble, or I'm sorry, I always say that, a bass and treble adjustment, so you can get a little bit more audio out of it. The fuel lights on. I've got 42 miles to empty, so that should get me close-ish to work, and I'll take it from there. I also turned on the not what they call the shift light, but they call it the shift indicator, and a lot of BMWs are doing that now. Instead of having a light that approaches, or a light that turns on when you approach a red line, it's got an indicator that will tell you what the best time to upshift is according to the RPM and gear that you're at for fuel optimization. So like, for instance, if I drop it down into 4th, you look right there, I'm not going to be near red line, but you'll see that little yellow marker just came on. At least I hope you can see that. Do it again in 5th, not near red line. Not near red line, with 5,000 RPM, and it's telling me to upshift. So it's pretty much just saying, hey, listen, you got what you need to get to the appropriate speed to upshift into the next gear. Go for it. And other than that, you know, I put the suspension back in road mode, so it's nice and cushy. I will say there's a little bit more vibration than I thought there would be coming from the bar, but you know, again, with the boxer engines, you do have 2 very big cylinders, 2 very big pistons, just, you know, kind of going like this the entire time you're riding, or technically like this, and that's going to send some pulses and some vibrations at a certain frequency. So I really, on a bike like this, it would probably totally be solved. Not that it's annoying, it's really not that bad. It's just something I noticed. But a heavier set of bar ends will probably wipe that away in a heartbeat. So I'm gonna make my way into the city. Traffic's not so bad right now, but this is New York and we are headed into Manhattan, so I can't promise anything. bikes have plenty of pep, and it's very agile. You know, I wouldn't consider a cruiser. I wouldn't consider this a cruiser. It moves too well for that. But it's it does have a nice ride to it, suspension-wise, comfort-wise. You know, it does soak up the bumps. I don't feel myself getting bucked out of the seat at all. Plus, the seat's nice and cushy. And then, as well as, you know, it's holding its line while having all of this weight, while having all of this aerodynamics helping it. So, man, it's toasty today. This bike, being a little bit older in design, doesn't have an ambient air temp sensor, but I know it's warm. I know it's warm. So, I'll check back in with you guys in a bit. Beautiful day.
The response, to say the least, led to people dying. But for
cancel. Stupid Cena. It is a beautiful day. Oh, I decided to try cruise control. I mean, I know how it works, but cruise control is nice on almost any of the BMWs. It's just super intuitive. You know, it's not jerky at all. And you can literally just set your speed. You can use the switches over here to control it. Accelerate and cruise control, decelerate and cruise control. It's nice. And what I like is, not a lot of people know, is if you take this, you roll it forward, it disengages cruise control without giving you a whole lot of crazy bucking as if you were gonna grab the brake or whatever. But we're almost in the city. I've been thinking about a couple things. I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts. But there's one kind of thing that I want to see before I, you know, sign off on this bike, and that's going to be how it goes back through the city. Yesterday I left kind of late and the city was empty, and it wasn't too bad, but now it's, you know, commute in traffic, it's rush hour, it is what it is. The radio's nice. I didn't think I was going to use the radio as much as I did. But then again, I also have communications in my helmet, so that's really what I would be using for any sort of music or whatever in my head, in my helmet. Sorry. But let's see. I do the brakes are really strong on this bike. The brakes are good, so don't worry about slowing this big thing down. Is this guy really gonna? Gearshift Assist Pro is nice on this bike. I mean, it's nice on every bike that I've ridden so far, at least all of the 2020s. Gearshift Assist is really nice. The upshifts, the downshifts, that's not really something you're gonna have to worry about. Gas gauge goes yellow when you're empty. I wonder if it goes, oh, 0 miles to empty, look. Bike didn't turn off. All right, let's put some gas in it. See how much this is gonna cost. Okay, about 20 bucks of the good stuff. Let's see what kind of range that gets us. Most bikes don't have a range to empty gauge, but BMWs do, and I really like it. It's worth it in my opinion. Give it a couple seconds. Gas gauge is going back up. Give it a couple seconds to figure out where it's at. But yeah, I really like that range to empty feature. A lot of bikes will just give you a gauge. We're gonna cut this guy off. I'm sorry, lady. Nice earrings. 285 miles to empty currently. Now, what that's telling you is obviously you've got an estimated 285 miles to empty. But what I've noticed on the BMWs is that's really just gonna see 288. It's going to fluctuate, because what the BMWs are gonna do is it's gonna give you that number kind of based on how you're riding. So like I said, you know, there's been times where my bike will say 150 miles to empty, and that's really because I'm just ripping it. And then, you know, when I'm on a tour and I back the throttle off and I maintain a solid speed at around 60-65 miles an hour, you know, the range to empty will just keep going up, keep going up, keep going up. I want to see, I've almost had it close to 300 miles to a tank before, and this is obviously, it's a touring bike, so it's meant to have a lot of range as far as in between gas stops are concerned. But you know, you hammer the throttle and you're gonna, basically the bike is just going to keep you updated as to how you are riding, what your estimated range to empty is. So I was thinking about which direction I wanted to go in, and normally lower levels quicker, but I think I'm gonna take upper level. Oh, I hope I don't regret this. I'm gonna take the upper level into the bridge, only to really compare it to the last bike that I rode, which was the F900R, and how easy that was to take the upper level, only because once the upper level kind of started bunching up, it was much easier to deal with the traffic on a skinny bike like that. So if I were going to use this bike day to day, and that was one of those things that I had to deal with, which is traffic in the city, let's see how it does. Let's see how it handles the bridge. And even then, 290 miles, 289 miles to empty on a full tank, that's not bad. You know, that will that'll get you pretty far. I know that's what, that's technically 4 days of my commute if I kept it at the bare minimum. As far as playing around with the throttle is concerned, what, man, what do you want? Why are you creeping up on me? I'm not looking over there. I'm not looking.
What now? Whatever you put in that community.
Sing it. What are you doing, bro? Goodness. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Wow, the light's not even green, man. And then when it turns green, you don't even go. Like, ooh, okay. Wasn't bad. We're slicing and dicing, we're getting through this traffic. Alright. Oh man, I'm nervous. Only because when I rode it yesterday, I was on the HOV side, and now that's closed. So it's like, I know that this lane is probably going to be pretty backed up. But let's see. Yes, Waze, I get it. I'm done with you anyway. I got room. I can fit. Slicing and dicing. And you know, that's a positive thing I'll say about a bike this big is, you know, if you feel like you're capable, the bike definitely is capable of riding fairly sporty. Is that still Whitney? But if you're not, and you're a little bit intimidated by a big bike like this, yeah, you might think twice. But that's kind of why I say BMWs make it very easy. Wow. But you know what? Sorry, side note. I do love, or rather I really do prefer taking the upper level. Only because look at the view. You know, look at the view you get coming into Manhattan. It's obviously very, you know, industrial looking, all these buildings, all this stuff sticking out of the ground, but it's pretty. You know, you got the water down there, you got the structure of the bridge. It's just, it's a nice time until you hit traffic. And I'll tell you, I'm hot. I'm sweaty already. Sweaty already. Boop, boop. Whoa. Probably took that a little too fast. I think I got airborne. We'll slow down for the next one. Imagine living in there. Imagine watching this video and living in there. But yeah, if you're confident on a bike, especially a big bike, then this bike is definitely something you should be considering. And also, if you're kind of like I said in my other videos, BMWs make it very hard to get into a bad situation. So this thing is nimble, it's light on its feet, it's agile, the brakes are great, the power is great, the electronics are great. You know, fatigue hasn't even been a thought in my mind. I'm glad there's no traffic at this point, but it will bunch up because there's a red light down here. But fatigue on this bike, absolutely not, none. I could ride this bike all day long, especially if it's a tour. I can just tell, like, I've got no aches in my bones, I've got no aches in my knee, my butt, my wrists, my arms, nothing. There's no fatigue. It's got great wind coverage. My back doesn't hurt, nothing hurts. It's been carrying the luggage for me because it's got these two big cases on the side. You know, if this were my personal bike, I'd probably opt for the top case just to really maximize how much storage you have. So as far as that's concerned, yeah, it's a winner. Now, would I ride this bike every day as my only bike? No, I wouldn't. It's just too big. In situations like this, I would already be down at the red light, whether it's my GS or whether I was on a skinnier bike. But if this were a touring machine and you lived in an area where you didn't have to come into a metropolitan area like the city, if you lived in an area where it's all back roads, all farm roads, all country roads, yes, consider the RT as a daily bike. Could I personally do it? No. Just once I get into the city and I can already feel myself getting hot, and I've got no ability to really slice and dice and keep the air moving, and you're pretty much at this point a car. And what that means is you aren't on a motorcycle anymore. Once you kind of have to do what all of the, I think this lane goes left, right? Yeah, I think they all do. Right, you know, like, I've got no options. I'm a car at this point. I am stuck in the standard traffic pattern, and that kind of sucks. So, closing thoughts. Would I buy this bike? Yes, if I was looking for a touring machine. Kind of like I say in my other videos, if this is in the lineup for you between whatever other touring machines you're looking at, whether it be a Yamaha, a Honda, one of the Italian bikes, or, you know, a Triumph, definitely put the BMW in the lineup. There's just so much I didn't have to think about while I was riding this. I didn't have to think about fatigue. I didn't have to think about wind coverage. The only thing I did really have to think about is once I did get into the city, it's a 75-degree day. It's very, very hot. It's probably even hotter than that by now. And without being able to filter this bike too well, without being able to lane split, you're going to do a lot of sitting and you're going to do a lot of sweating. Now, if this is going to be a pure touring bike and not really going to do any commuting for you, that's not going to be a worry. But if this is, you know, I'm a one bike guy, so if you need one bike to do all your jobs, then this would struggle in the commuting area. But get out, ride one for yourself if you can, see what you think. Well, whoever says I'm right, actually most people say I'm wrong, so it is what it is. But as always, thank you for riding with me. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave me some comments. Let me know what you want to see written. Let me know if you have any questions. And yeah, I think that's it. How's the turning circle? Can we loop it around? Oh, without hitting the lady? Yep, we can. Nice. My man Diego, say what up to my fans. What up, fans? All right, guys, later.